The morning sun hadn't even cleared the rooftops when I heard those angry footsteps pounding outside. And right then I just knew, yeah, here we go again. Through the living room window, I watched Patricia Thornberry, our fearless HOA president, marching down Maple Grove Lane with her clipboard hugged to her chest like it was a riot shield and the world was out to get her. Her face was twisted into that signature scowl, the kind she reserved for the most heinous suburban offenses, usually trash cans left out for half a day too long. But today, Patricia wasn't gunning for some wayward garbage bin or a stray mailbox. She was zeroed in on my driveway where my son Jake's patrol car sat quietly next to my old sedan. Let me tell you, Patricia had her phone out, snapping photos from every angle like she was documenting a crime scene, muttering about flagrant violations, community decay, complete disregard for order. I should back up a second. I'd just gotten back from visiting my sister in Florida, still half lagged and just glad to be home. Jake had surprised me by taking a couple days off. He'd just made full deputy with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, a fact I was both crazy proud of and, if I'm honest, always a little nervous about. Having him home for a few days felt like a real gift. The night before, Jake parked his assigned patrol vehicle in our driveway. Perfectly legal, by the way. The department encourages it. More police presence in the neighborhood, less trouble all around, right? Well, not if you're Patricia Thornberry. In her mind, Pine Valley Estates is her personal kingdom and every driveway is a battlefield. So the next morning, sure enough, I found a notice jammed under Jake's windshield scrawled in Patricia's unmistakable purple ink, citing HOA Bylaw 17.3b about non-standard vehicle storage. I actually had to laugh because I'd served on the board before, and I knew that bylaw covered pool schedules, not police cars. Patricia was famous for just making stuff up when the real rules didn't suit her. I tossed the notice figuring she'd get bored and move on. But by noon, there were two more notices, each nastier than the last. The final one threatened immediate towing if the commercial vehicle wasn't removed within 24 hours. That night, Jake and I were eating dinner when the doorbell rang, the kind of impatient, aggressive buzz you only get from someone who thinks they're right and the world needs to know it. I opened the door to Patricia, clipboard in hand, with her shadow Harold Finch, the so-called compliance coordinator, glued to her side. "This is your final warning," Patricia announced before I could even say hi. "That vehicle needs to be removed immediately, or I'll have it towed at your expense. We have standards in this community." I kept my voice as level as I could, but man, it took effort. "Patricia, that's my son's patrol car. He's a sheriff's deputy. He's allowed to park it here." She snorted literally. "I don't care if he's the governor. HOA rules apply to everyone. No commercial vehicles in driveways, period. It's not a commercial vehicle. It's a police vehicle. And even if your made-up rule was real, which it's not, it wouldn't apply to law enforcement." She just glared, face getting redder. Made-up rule. "I've been president for 8 years. I know every bylaw and regulation in the book, and you're in violation." Harold nodded behind her, probably hadn't even read the HOA rules himself. Furthermore, Patricia said, winding up, "I've already called Premier Towing. They'll be here first thing in the morning to remove that eyesore. $250 will be added to your dues, plus a $300 fine for non-compliance." My jaw clenched. "Patricia, I'm telling you nicely, leave my property. That car isn't going anywhere and no tow truck driver has authority to touch it." She flashed that infuriating smirk. "We'll see. 8 a.m. sharp. I'd move it if I were you." Jake was grinning as they stomped off. "Don't worry, Dad. I'll handle it in the morning." Next morning, 7:55 a.m. Patricia was back, Harold in tow, practically quivering with anticipation. They'd even brought the tow truck guy, big dude named Tony. Patricia positioned herself for the best angle to film the enforcement action. She was about to become the Scorsese of HOA drama. Jake walked out, not in uniform, but wearing his badge on his belt, holding his department ID. "Morning," Jake said. "Easy as you please. I'm Deputy Morrison, Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Can I ask what you're doing here?" Tony glanced at Patricia, then back at Jake. I got a call about an illegally parked vehicle. Lady here says it needs to go." Jake handed over his ID. "That's my assigned patrol vehicle." Tony's face went pale. "Oh, hell no. I'm not touching a cop car." "Sorry, lady, you're on your own." And just like that, Tony climbed in his truck and drove off. Patricia's face, man, it went from smug to confused to flat-out furious in about 3 seconds flat. "You can't do that," she shrieked. Jake stayed calm. "Ma'am, HOA has no authority over what law enforcement parks in their own driveway unless it's specifically in the CC cluster and ours, which it isn't." Filing a false report is actually a misdemeanor. You called in a tow under false pretenses. I'm the HOA president, Patricia yelled, voice cracking. I decide what's allowed. Jake didn't even blink. No, ma'am. You enforce the rules. You don't make them up. And harassing law enforcement families is a real bad idea. Harold was suddenly very interested in somebody else's lawn. Patricia just sputtered. This isn't over. I'm calling an emergency board meeting. Think that's the end, I asked as they stormed off. Jake shook his head. Not a chance. But it's not going to go how she thinks. Thursday evening, Patricia called her emergency meeting, sending out dire warnings about a critical compliance issue threatening community standards. The turnout was actually huge, mostly folks curious to see what the fuss was about. Patricia had a whole presentation complete with blown-up photos of Jake's patrol car, like it was a getaway vehicle from a bank robbery. If we allow this, what's next, she thundered. Food trucks. Party buses. That's when Margaret Chen, who lived a few doors down, raised her hand. Honestly, Patricia, having a deputy's car parked here makes me feel safer. Isn't that good for property values? A bunch of folks murmured in agreement. Patricia wasn't having it. That's not the point. Rules are rules. Robert Banks, the HOA treasurer, piped up. Which rule exactly? I've been on this board 5 years. I don't remember any bylaw banning law enforcement vehicles. Patricia scrambled, rifling through her papers. It's in 17.3b. Robert checked on his phone. Patricia, 17.3b is pool chemical storage. A ripple of laughter swept the room. Patricia's face went from pink to purple. Well, it must be an old version. The point is, we can't just... Why not? Shouted Tom Washington from the back. It's their property. And just like that, the meeting devolved. Everyone started calling her out. Someone brought up the time she fined a family for having the wrong beige mailbox. Someone else remembered her ban on kids' bikes. Finally, Margaret made a motion. I move we vote on Patricia's position as HOA president. Out of 43 homeowners, 38 voted to remove her. It was decisive. Robert told her she'd need to turn in all HOA documents and gear within 72 hours. But Patricia wasn't about to go down quietly. She threatened to call the real authorities. 2 days later, a city code enforcement officer showed up, looked tired before he even got out of his car. Let me guess, I said, Patricia Thornberry. He just sighed. She's filed 15 complaints this month, everything from grass length to garden gnome direction. He made a note. This is resolved. By the way, she's getting cited $50 per false report. $750 so far. But the fines were just the start. Pretty soon, people started comparing notes about all the fake fines Patricia had collected. Turned out she'd pocketed thousands over the years, money that never made it to the HOA account. Robert found the hole during an audit and called the real authorities. The DA's office opened an investigation. I was in my garden when 2 detectives pulled up at Patricia's house. She tried to slip out the back door, but they were waiting. The whole neighborhood watched as Patricia, once the queen bee, was led out in cuffs, protesting all the way that she'd just been protecting our property values. Turns out she'd embezzled almost $20,000 in fake fines. The judge wasn't impressed by her community standards speech. She got 3 years in prison, ordered to pay it all back. I was in the courtroom when they read the sentence. Patricia turned pale and stunned and whispered, 3 years. But I was just trying to keep things nice. Yeah, Patricia, we all saw how that turned out. So here's my question for you. Where's the line between protecting community standards and just plain abusing your neighbors? Was she right in any way, or was she always out of line? Let me know what you think down in the comments. God knows every neighborhood's got at least one Patricia.